Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Tea Time with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today's the 9th of December 2019. So welcome everyone. Welcome to this Monday's afternoon session where we're going to have a quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest and we can continue. Okay, so also just a quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel here, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos, and of course our JFD Bank website and specifically our JFD research page, which we update on a daily basis. So I believe you can find a lot of useful stuff here for yourself. So feel free to visit us on jfdbank.com and click on the research tab right here. But for now, let's jump into the charts. Now, the first one I want to touch on here is the Dow Jones Industrial Average Index. Now, on Friday, we had a spectacular move back up here. So it kind of almost managed to reach the beginning of the week levels, and basically it drifted higher. It closed the week slightly in the red, as you can see by the weekly chart right here. So it closed the week slightly in the red, but you can see that it kind of it broke above this key area of resistance. I talked about this one on Thursday, and I was telling you guys to keep an eye on the 27,895 zone, because if we get a nice pop above this, then yes, we will consider a further move higher. We did get that move, and looking at the cash index right now, of course, it is slightly below the close of yesterday. Yesterday on Friday. But of course, let's see how this is going to play out. For now, everything's kind of leaning more towards the upside. Of course, we could be aiming here for the 28,110 zone, or even the 28,175, which is the all-time high for now here for this index. So let's see if this can push higher. If it breaks the 28,175, then yes, this would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and we could enter the uncharted territory. For now, guys, the only thing is that we'll probably suggest is, yes, on one hand, it is the bulls are not really willing to give up here, but let's keep an eye on some of these barriers here, because if the bulls struggle to push the index towards this area here, towards these all-time highs, then then I mean we could see another round of selling, and this could drift south again, and this could present a nice opportunity for the bears. But for now, the way we could look at this here is, as long as it remains above its 21 EMA here on the 4-hour chart, then yes, we will continue aiming for the upside. Now, in terms what you could do here and how you could play this one out here is, if you keep an eye on some of these key support and resistance levels, or should I say in this case support levels, for example, the 27,782 zone here, which is the low of Monday. Now, this is where it could become interesting, and a drop below this would also place the price below its 21 EMA here on the 4-hour chart, and then yep, we could then target some of these lower levels. For those who are more on the cautious side, you could in a way just wait for maybe a drop below the 27,675 mark right here. As you can see, previously it acted as a good area of support, so that's why this time, if it breaks, then yep, it could open the path towards lower areas areas again. So that's why, guys, for now, with the downside, be very careful. The risk on environment is kind of back here in the game. It seems like that, but everything can change if we see the the index struggling to push above this territory right here, these all-time highs. So we will be very careful, because if it does struggle, then this is what the bears would be waiting for, or are waiting for. And in order to kind of get on to that kind of selling moment here, to jump into selling, because if some of the bears have missed this move lower, this could be a nice opportunity for them to do that again. But again, I'll repeat myself, that's in the scenario if the index struggles to push above these two levels right here, the 28,110 zone or the 28,175 mark. So keep an eye on that one. Jumping into gold very quickly. So gold, let me just jump back into a 4-hour chart here. Now gold managed to push a little bit higher here, but as you can see, it did manage to retrace a little bit after Friday's decline, but today it continues to trade below its pivot point here, and below this 1466 mark. So for now, all eyes are of course on this little territory right here. If we do get a push higher, then yes, there is a possibility for this one to push further north, but again, there are some strong obstacles here, and in a way, for us to get a little bit more comfortable with slightly higher levels, we would need to see a push above. Let me just adjust this very quickly here. Maybe at least a push above the 1480 zone, and then we could maybe consider slightly higher levels. The only problem here is, of course, this downside resistance line taken from the highest point of September. So in a way, this is the line that could stall the price for a little bit. But again, if this will be the time when the commodity would be ready to break this, then yes, a break of this downside line could open the path towards higher levels. But for now, it's very difficult to talk about the upside, given where it is right now and given what it's forming, what gold is forming. So in a way, how you could play this one out, so keep your eyes on the 1466. If we get a push above this, then this increases the chances of a further move higher. Then the area to watch will be around the 1473 mark, which previously, as you can see, acted as a good area of support. But even earlier, it acted as a resistance. So a nice good push above this would also place the price above its 200 EMA. And then, yes, we will target this 1480 zone, a break of which could, yes, open the path towards a possible test of this downside line. So for now, basically, long story short, if we get a push above the 1473, we could start considering higher levels, but of course we'll be very careful here. We'll have a tight stop loss in case this suddenly reverses and drops lower again. But guys, yes, for now, be very careful on this one, because it still has an opportunity to drift lower, especially if it drops below the 1459 zone, roughly around here. And if it does that, then we will consider areas like the 1451 or the 1445 zone. So for now, guys, basically it is a bit tricky. On one hand, it is trying to recover, but on the other hand, it's kind of still on a down move here from the very short-term perspective. And especially, like I said, if it clears this key area of support near the 1459, then yes, we could consider further declines here, at least up until the 1451 or 1445. So keep your eyes on this one, guys. AUDJPY. Now, this one is also a little bit tricky, because in a way, this is a very good risk measurement pair. So in a way, for now, of course, you can see that the pair is drifting below its 200 EMA on the 4-hour chart, or in fact, it's drifting below all of its EMAs on the 4-hour chart. Previously, I had this line drawn here, and let me just quickly put this one on the chart. So this was the upside line that I kept an eye on, and this is what I talked about previously in my videos, where I was looking at AUDJPY, and you can see that this upside line got broken now, and in a way it increases the chances of a further drift south. The only thing is that we would need to see a nice good break below some of the support levels here. So the first and important level to watch is around the 73.90. A nice good drop below this could lead the pair further down, and in a way this could also lead the indices, or should I say it could show that the indices are drifting lower, so because of the increased yen buying. So well, not because of that, but the yen buying would be increased because of the equity market sliding. So that's why, guys, for now, be very careful on this one. Yes, on one hand it is breaking this upside line, but we need to see a drop below the 73.90 level before examining lower areas, and by lower areas I mean a good area to watch will be around the 73.47 marked by the low of the 20th of November, and then of course we do have another potential area of support right here near the lowest point of November, and that's roughly around the 73.34 mark. So keep your eyes on this one. For now, of course, the main question, can it drop below the 73.90 level? If it can, then this opens the path towards these slightly lower areas. In terms of the upside, for us to consider higher levels, ideally a push and a break above this 74.54 mark would be needed, and then we will aim for the next potential resistance level around here near the 74.85 zone, which is marked by the highest point of December so far. But if this fails to withhold, then yes, we could see a new higher high here, and we could start aiming for this highest point of November near the 75.63 level. But of course, that's a bit getting ahead of myself a little bit here. For now, all eyes are on these two levels, but of course for now, as you can see, it is closer to the support level here near the 73.90. A nice good drop below this could open the path towards lower areas, so let's keep an eye on this one. Quick mentioning of USD-CAD now with this situation here. Basically, after breaking this upside support line here, tentative upside support line, the pair drifted lower last week, in the beginning of last week, and then we saw on Friday the pair exploding back to the upside here, traveling higher, hitting the area near this level, near the 1.3270, and now it's kind of retracing a little bit, correcting back down. In a way, let me just remove some of these arrows. In a way, yes, we could consider a further move north, especially given the fact that some of you might see here a nice flag pattern here. So we do have a nice pole here, and this could be now flagging out, so a bullish flag formation. But in order to be a little bit more on the safe side, we'll probably wait for a clear break above the 1.3270 zone, and only then target the upside. Now initially, we will aim for the 1.332120 zone here, and then we'll take it from there, because this of course is a very strong area of resistance right here, but another thing to consider is this little short-term downside resistance line, which could in a way limit the upside. So that's why, guys, yes, there is a possibility for another move higher. The only thing is that we will consider a higher move, or should I say, we'll consider slightly higher levels if we get a push above the 1.3270. If not, we're just going to continue watching this one. But if we do get yes, then we'll aim for higher levels, but only up until here, because like I said, this is where the upside could be limited. In terms of the downside, now with the downside a little bit is a little bit more tricky. So ideally we would like to see a drop below the 200 EMA here, and maybe somewhere around here. Let me just not here, but there we go. So this is the level to watch. So around the 1.3235 mark, a nice good drop below this could in a way lead the pair towards slightly lower areas. We're not going to drag this one too much to the downside. We're just going to aim for this territory near the 1.3186 or 76 zones, and then we'll take it from there. See what he wants to do after. If he wants to drift further south, then yes, we will reevaluate this again. But for now, everything's kind of looking more positive than negative. In the short run, I need to specify this because, again, as I said, the upside might be limited due to this downside resistance line. Now, GBPUSD, another interesting pair. For now, it's all kind of very interesting because we are getting, of course, closer to the UK election, which is on Thursday. So that's why, guys, for now, we're gonna keep it short and simple. We're gonna be very careful here. Yes, it did have a nice pop here last week above the 1.3013 level. It is kind of moving higher, but ideally, in order to consider higher levels, ideally we would like to see a push above the 1.3186 zone. It almost managed to reach this level. I talked about this territory last week, and let me just adjust this, guys, very quickly. So it was a little bit higher here. There we go. So yes, 1.3186. So we managed to almost reach that level. So for us to consider higher levels, we need to see a push above this, a nice good strong push above the 1.3186, and then we will aim for further upside. Further upside, yes, there are a bunch of levels to consider here. So one of the first ones to watch out for could be around the 1.3270 zone, and then maybe further north. If we look at further north, then the 1.3311 could be another possible target as well. But don't forget that on the shorter time frame, we are quite overstretched to the upside. So in a way, maybe a bit of correction here could be possible, and then yes, we could consider another move higher if the rate struggles to move below this little territory right here, the 1.3013 zone. If we do see a drop below this, then yes, we will aim for the downside again. So let's, for now, we're quite far from here, so we'll consider the upside. But again, in order for us to get comfortable with the upside, a push above the 1.3186 level is required. GBPCHF, I talked about this one this morning. I was also mentioning a possible correction here. So overall, yes, you can see that we are still trading above this upside support line taken from the low of the, let me just drag this one quickly up below, from the low of the 13th of August, and we have quite distanced ourselves from that line. So in a way, maybe a bit of correction could be possible, but overall, for now, everything's kind of leaning more towards the upside, unless the pair starts dropping here below the 1.2940 zone here, and then starts clearing areas like, and let me just quickly recycle this line. If it starts dropping below the territory around the 1.28 zone. If it does drop below this, then, well, it could move all the way here towards a test of the upside support line here. So for now, yes, we could see a bit of correction, but overall, we are still more positive than negative on this one. But like I said, if it starts suddenly dropping below the 1.2940, this could be the first alarm here. But if it drops below the 1.28 zone, then yep, this is where we will start target the downside. And the last pair for this session is going to be euro dollar. Now with this one, I talked about this one this morning, and basically what I was saying, that to keep an eye on some of these key levels. So basically on the downside, we were watching this 1.1043 zone. On the upside, I was telling you guys to keep an eye on the 1.1093 level. So for now, neither of the levels kind of were tested nor broken. So for now, we're just going to continue observing this one. We're not touching this because it's too tricky. In a way, if it travels above the 1.1093, then yes, there is a chance for this one to move higher. But to get a little bit more comfortable with the upside, a push above the 1.1116 zone would be needed, and still the same idea remains for the downside, a drop below the 1.1043 zone. This is what we need in order to consider lower areas. We might adjust this level at some point later on, but for now we're sticking to it. We want to see, let's say, if the pair drops somewhere towards this territory right here somewhere, if it violates this level and then, let's say, reverses back to the upside, then yep, we'll get rid of this level. We'll try to find a new one, but for now we're keeping this one on our charts, and we'll see how it performs around it. But for now, probably the long story short, for now we are neutral, but we're keeping a close eye on these two levels right here, the 1.1093 and the 1.1043 on the downside here. So keep your eyes on this, guys. Okay, I really hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for sticking around and watching it till the end. If you want to join me tomorrow morning, as always, in my Traders Espresso, that's 7 o'clock GMT time. For now, guys, I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful evening, and I'll see you tomorrow at my Traders Espresso, 7 o'clock GMT. Thank you very much, guys, and bye-bye.